I was the city commander in the police department, and we had a barricaded individual who was heavily armed in an apartment house, multi-family apartment house. So I had to make the choice, the decision to either road that you could go to, either make a complete, a breach, an immediate breach, or evacuate civilians. So I took the time to get the civilians out. We didn't know where he was. We were playing cat and mouse with him. We had no idea in 23 apartments where he was. And we saw activity in the window, in the back. I had people that were looking, and and we gave them a warning, something's going on in there, but they still had to go through the door. When they hit the door, a gun battle ensued. I was on the outside. I was in the inside with the officers, but it seemed to last forever, and it seemed to drag on forever. It seemed to be just an innumerable amount of shots that were fired, then dead silence. And I said, "Oh God, no," because I knew what that meant. And then I heard the screams for help. That one officer shot, two officers shot, and went right down the line. And I'm running around like trying to get help into the building and trying to get officers help. I'm not even seeing what's going on with me. And others saw it, thankfully, but I wasn't even aware. I wasn't even cognizant of where I was starting to spiral down at that location and at that time. When they took the last body out, that's when I just lost it. I completely lost all my emotions, all control over my emotions. And thankfully, two officers saw me going down. I was actually going to go down into a dead heap on the ground. I was going into, I felt like I was going to faint. And they picked me up and they put me in the back of a police car and rushed me to the hospital because they thought I was in a medical emergency. I was in a medical emergency. I was had no control, absolutely no control over my emotions. It was, I didn't know which up or down, sideways. I mean, I was just totally confused, totally unable to do any everyday tasks. And that wasn't just that day. This lasted for 3 days. So my wife decided that I should get help. And I went to see a therapist who, after a short interview said, I know what the problem is and I know what we need to do. And she said it was post-traumatic stress disorder. I knew I was in trouble, but I didn't recognize, even though I had worked with officers with post-traumatic stress disorder, it's always that you don't think it's you. You think it's someone else, but you don't think it's you. And you didn't see the symptoms because you're involved in it. It's very hard when you're in the throes of PTSD to see the PTSD that you're involved with. Well, as they say, that it's never one incident as far as post-traumatic stress disorder. It's always a cumulative effect, especially with a career in law enforcement. God knows when it ever started. Probably started many, many, many years before the incident. As time went on, after the initial diagnosis, I noticed lingering effects that were not me, that were not my normal. And it was a matter of sleepless nights, waking up with nightmares, hyperventilating, cold sweats, not realizing where you are, screaming in the middle of the night, not realizing, as they say, night terrors. In one instance, I felt like they call it sleep paralysis, that someone was laying on my chest and I couldn't move, I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't stop them. And that was terrifying. That was absolutely unbelievably horrifying. With PTSD, it's not something that you're cured of. There's no cure for PTSD. You can bring the symptoms under control. You can deal with them, recognize them, and understand them, but you're never going to get those memories erased. Because memories come, we get them. That's a normal state of affairs. It's the emotions that are involved and attached to those memories that we can do something about. After I did therapy with with the therapist that I sought, and I was in a better place. I was not experiencing all the upheavals of the emotions. I contacted NAMI. I had been a past member many, many years ago when my wife was diagnosed with schizophrenia, and I was seeking help from them. So they were the first people that came to mind. And they wanted to know, since I seemed to be in a good place as far as my affliction was concerned, if I would be interested in facilitating a group for veterans and first responders who were suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. And as they say, when you're able to help heal others, you're healing yourself. So that has been my major healing journey, has been helping others, and it helps myself because we're able to share and we're able to talk with each other. It doesn't matter what uniform you had on, that if you had post-traumatic stress disorder, you had post-traumatic stress disorder. We don't examine the journey, we examine as to where we are now and where are we going from here. Comparing notes doesn't suffice or help anybody. Nobody's journey is better or worse than anybody else's, and that's a steadfast rule that I stick to with my group. That we don't dwell on that because it doesn't serve anybody. It was ironic in a sense that when we shared stories, and I always had it in the back of my mind that, well, I didn't serve overseas. I was a cop, and how much combat did I really see? But then it's not always combat that causes post-traumatic stress disorder, because it's trauma. Combat is the one that catches everybody's attention. And so in comparing, combat experience, it turned out that I saw more combat than a lot of veterans from Vietnam who were in my group. And so first responders and veterans, that seems to be like we're talking apples and oranges, but not really. And we were able to share a certain nexus together, that we saw that we had more likes than unlikes. We shared more experiences, gave it a different name, maybe it had a different uniform or a different location, but it was still the same thing. It was still the same things that we suffered through, and that was important because there's just too many first responders right now that are not seeking help. And it's sad that they're just sitting and not getting the help they need, and they should go seek support. And I always recommend NAMI because NAMI has been so supportive towards me as a first responder. But beyond that, they're available, and try to find anywhere else in anywhere, in any location, anybody that's organized in that fashion. You're not going to find it. NAMI is there, and it's got the available programs for first responders and veterans to come in and seek help and seek that support. And it's an open door. I mean, you're welcome. Everyone's welcome.